Is your family tree a mystery? Are you fascinated by genealogy? Well, hip hip hooray, let's talk DNA with Julie.
The truth is in your genes.
In CutOff Genes.
Welcome to CutOff Genes, the podcast that helps you find your truth using nothing but DNA. I'm Julie Dixon-Jackson, and I am a genetic genealogist, henceforth known as a Gen Genie.
And I am Richard Castle, the producer and co-host of this podcast. How are you doing, Julie?
Oh, I'm well.
You know, I do this gig, right, in a restaurant, and I play piano in a restaurant as background piano. And so the other night, this woman came up to me and she goes, this music is so lovely. I haven't been here since 1983. She goes, were you playing here back then? And I looked at her like, really? How old do you think I am?
That's amazing.
So I just said to her, I'm like, yeah, yes, I was playing here. I came here right after my paper route.
That's a good comeback.
But clearly, I mean, that's 36 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
That's, yeah, you were very
I was
young.
a young
Yes.
teenager
Yes.
at that time. I
Exactly.
was not,
People assume, I don't know,
maybe I looked old that night
Can I
or
tell
something.
you, I had a similar situation recently that I just kind of let go. But if I think about it too much, it'll piss me off.
Okay. Now I really want to hear it.
So I went to see Downton Abbey all by myself,
Okay.
as I do.
Yes.
And I was getting my ticket. And
I wish I'd known. I would have gone with you.
Oh,
Because I saw it too, and I would love to have gone with you.
I went opening day.
Yeah.
I never do that.
You were like waiting in line.
No,
like
there was
Star,
nobody
like
there.
Star Wars.
There was nobody there. So much so that the girl working in the ticket office, it looked like it was her first day, and she just kept messing up left and right. She didn't know how anything worked.
I walked in to the movie theater and I thought, oh gosh, it was the opening weekend. It wasn't opening day. And I said, before I go get my popcorn or whatever, I better go get a seat, because I thought, it might be full.
Yeah.
So I go in there and it wasn't full at all. But what was funny was it was one of those stadium seating and it looked like Noah's Ark because there were just groups of two old people on the aisle going up on one side that was closest to the stairway. It was like a Noah's Ark for senior citizens.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
2 by 2 they came.
And sat on the aisle because they had to get out.
They didn't want to go any farther in.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So tell me your story.
All
You
right,
went to see
so-
Downton Abbey by yourself.
I went to see Downton Abbey by myself. I had some gift certificates that I got for Christmas a couple years ago, and I was
Okay.
like, I got to use these
Yeah.
anyway. Let's just go. So, and of course, it was her first day, so she didn't know what to do with them. So she had to call somebody twice to help her with that. And then, so finally, she's like, okay, fine. Okay, so one senior for Downton Abbey.
Ouch.
And I almost said, did I say senior? But I was kind of dumbfounded. I was like, and I kept thinking, like, do I look especially schlumpy today? I don't know. I mean, I don't wear makeup in public, and I do dress schlumpy, but
But you
I
don't
mean,
look like a senior citizen, Julie.
Well,
that's a bit of a stretch.
What does it start at for movie theaters?
I don't know, but like how the more pertinent question is how old was this girl? Because, if you're 21, 22.
Yeah, she was young.
Yeah.
But still,
everybody over
somebody
50.
needs to teach her never assume somebody is a senior unless they ask.
Yeah.
Because that bites.
She's like, we'll also give you the pregnancy discount. I'm not pregnant.
So I'm fat and old is what you're saying.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
I had a friend who was I was going through like the checkout line at the drugstore or something, and he was right in front of me, and the cashier said to him, we can give you the AARP discount. And he goes, I don't think I qualify, right? Really offended. And then she goes, oh no, it starts at 55. And he's like 48, right?
Jeez, dig that hole deeper, people.
Right? And I said, what are you kidding? James, take the discount.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, well, I'm saving $1, so I guess I won't say anything.
That's really funny.
I've been at like restaurants with a table of mostly young people, but a couple people, a little closer to my age, to where she carded every single person at the table except me. So then she goes around, and even the older people, they were like probably in their 30s, but she still made a point to card them. And I know that I don't need to be carded. However, if she's going to make a point to do that, just as a courtesy. And so she gets to me and she doesn't card me. And I said, "Don't you want to see my ID?" And she went,
Let's not kid ourselves.
"Yeah, can at least give me a little bit of, lie to me."
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
lesson
funny.
for the day: never assume somebody is old enough for the senior discount because it bites.
Or that they were playing piano, at 12 years old.
Yes, as an adolescent. Yeah, right. So
Oh, those are good stories, Julie.
they are good stories. we can go home now.
Yeah, right.
All right. Oh, I guess we need to talk about DNA.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about. Wait. I have a clarification. You're gonna love this.
Okay.
Remember when you thought Raymond Burr was Aaron Burr?
Must you remind me
Of course I
of my
must.
stupidity?
Oh, one of our listeners actually commented that she's related to Aaron Burr.
Really?
Yes, I can't. I'm so sorry, I can't remember who it was, but that was a fun thing.
But not Raymond Burr. None of our
No,
listeners are
not
related
Old
to-
Ironsides.
or Perry Mason.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had to look up, by the way, Old Ironsides because I knew that it was about a ship.
Yes.
And you did because you're
Yes.
from Boston. I grew up in Australia.
Yeah.
And I remember studying the poem by Oliver Wendell Holmes.
Yes, who was from New England.
Yeah. So it was written on September 16th, 1830, as a tribute to the 18th century frigate USS Constitution, thanks in part to the poem. It was saved from being decommissioned and is now the oldest commissioned ship in the world still afloat. Oh, I didn't know it was still commissioned.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a formality. I doubt they'll be sending it to Iraq or anything, or to Iran. It's a battleship.
Oh, so it's just kind of there and like people can tour it and stuff like that.
It's a museum, and yeah.
Oh, all right.
I remember seeing it when I was a kid and going on the ship, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an old sailing ship, but it was a battleship at the time, or what they call it, a frigate.
A frigate.
Yeah, back in Boston, we'd say frigate, like as in forget it.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that from now on because that's enjoyable.
It's not the most polite thing to say, frigate.
All right, let's talk fall TV programming. NBC is debuting a new genealogy TV show called A New Leaf, hosted by Daisy Fuentes. Remember her?
No, but the name sounds
She
familiar.
was a VH1 lady.
Oh, that's why I don't remember. I mean, I know her name, but I
Maybe.
couldn't pick her out of a
and
lineup.
she also has a line of clothing at Kohl's.
Oh, that I might know.
Anyway, there are a couple things interesting about it to me. First of all, it appears that regular people will be getting celebrity genealogy treatment, just like Who Do You Think You Are of Finding Your Roots, which is lovely. And also because they're not celebrities, the show's going to be airing on Saturday mornings. But yeah, it looks really interesting. And they have a Facebook page. It says, each week a new leaf will teach viewers the importance of appreciating and understanding their family history in order to make important decisions to enact positive changes in their lives.
Oh, that sounds very,
I don't know
positive,
what that means.
Right?
Sure.
Well,
I don't think that was necessary, but whatever.
whatever gets you to watch it.
Sure. Yes, a lot of people,
Each
people
week-
who like feel-good TV will like that.
Yeah, each week we will find out which ancestor, who had an ancestor that did something horrible, and then we will punish them for the sins of their fathers.
I was watching The View recently, and somebody from, I can't remember which side it was. It wasn't one of the two. It wasn't Ancestry or 23andMe. Came on, and the promo was, she's going to tell family secrets, or which of our hosts has a family secret.
Yeah.
And so she came on and she told them, all stuff that they discovered. There was not one single family secret in there. It was like, oh, and your great grandfather was from Italy.
Yeah.
And they're like, I know. I'm like, wow, way to dig deep, guys.
I know. That wouldn't really be an earth-shattering secret either.
Yeah, there was nothing
What do you
really interesting about
What do you
anything.
mean? My great-grandfather was from Italy.
Yeah.
How dare you?
How dare you, sir?
I'm going to slap you with my glove.
Oh, Lord. There's also, I discovered, actually, this is CeCe Moore put a link to this. There's a Canadian TV show called The Fifth Estate. You can access it if you're here on YouTube. And this is CeCe had solved the cold case murder of the young Canadian couple in Seattle. I mentioned that way back when she first started doing that. And this is about, basically it's just explaining how it all happened, and the kid's family is on it in the court. And it's talking about, it's called Is Murder in Your DNA? And it interviews the cousin that they discovered on GEDmatch to the killer, and what it's been like for her to identify a murderer with her DNA.
See, this is more my style. Like,
Yes.
I will watch this over the Daisy Fuentes, like, feel good show.
Sure.
I want some drama.
Yeah.
I want
grit.
I want some grit. Some true crime. Like, I could get into that. This Daisy Fuentes, like, daytime morning show or whatever, some VH1 has been.
I'll give it a shot. Wah, wah. Clothing designer.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Whatevs.
Maybe now we're never going to get her to advertise on the podcast.
Oh, no.
Or Kohl's.
Can you imagine if Cole's would, no.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
not going to happen.
So what was interesting, though, was she was saying how the cousin said that basically there was a knock on her door, and it was the police saying, can we talk to you about your family tree?
Wow.
Because you're a DNA match to a murderer. So she is the link, literally. And she went to the sentencing. They showed her at the sentencing and talking to the families. And
Did she even know him?
no.
Right.
I mean, I think she probably knew of him, but she was a second cousin.
Yeah.
Second cousins are pretty safe.
Right.
And I also feel comfortable reaching out to them, too,
Right.
When I'm looking for people, because there's usually not a connection.
Right. There's not going to be an emotional connection where it's going to
Exactly,
mess. Yeah.
and they're not going to feel like they're, outing somebody.
Right.
I guess.
It's easier to out someone you don't know.
Sure.
than someone close to you. Sure.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh.
I would think it would be pretty easy if they were a murderer, but if they, fathered a child.
And what is the name of this show? Because I actually really want to watch this.
Oh, it's called The Fifth Estate.
The Fifth Estate.
And you can access it if you're living in the U.S. You can access it on YouTube, because obviously we don't get Canadian TV.
Oh,
here.
it's because it's a Canadian,
Canadian.
show. Oh, I see. All right. Oh, that's interesting. All right. Yeah, let's watch that.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I have a case that I'm working on to where the biological father was purported to be a Canadian hockey player, and I have definitely confirmed that this guy is Scottish by way of Canada.
Okay.
But it's really difficult to get any records in Canada, I have discovered.
Why is that?
I don't know, but I can't find hide nor hair of this family. And I'm pretty sure I know the couple I know the grandparents, who the grandparents would be of my client.
I thought you were going to say because everybody plays hockey in Canada. So it's like such a
Well,
huge...
I was hoping that somebody with that name, I mean, I did my newspapers.com thing. I was hoping that he would be a famous, Canadian hockey player.
Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah. Well, it turns out what's interesting is that what I didn't know about this case, because I wasn't the one, it just came to me and I didn't get all the background that she had told the person who hired me, that she was quite a few months old when she was taken to the agency. When she was given up for adoption.
Really?
So she was with both of these parents, I believe, for 9 months.
That's when you got to wonder, was there some kind of drug problem or something, or
Well, there was something
abuse, or I don't know.
There was certainly something, but what I didn't realize until after I'd found these people was that he wasn't just a fly by night. He hadn't been playing hockey in New York. Mm-hmm. He was living there because they were together for at least 9 months.
Right.
Well, 18 months if you count.
How do you give up a child after 9 months?
I don't know.
I can't even.
Yeah, I know, and I'm wondering how.
I mean, you know what? Again, I'm only going from my own experience. I could not imagine it. However, I'm sure there are circumstances where that seems like the only option, or an option that you have to entertain. You know, I don't know. I mean, look at me. I'm going to go back to like World War II, and so you're a Jew in Nazi Germany, and the only
Are we
way
talking Sophie's Choice?
No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
talking like putting your child on a boat to another country.
Yes, if it's going to save their life.
To save their life.
Yes.
But that's different, isn't it?
Of course it is.
You know, but maybe it wasn't. I mean,
yeah, we don't know the circumstances, but there are things about this biological mother that tell me that it's not the first time she's done that.
well, I mean, honestly, was it Marilyn Monroe's mother like mentally ill? And, you know, if you're unable to take care of a child because of that, sometimes children are taken out of a home because of that.
But they walked into into the
God,
agency.
I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt here.
I
but
know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, and it's going to be if my client reaches out to her, I think it's going to be a real uphill battle to get her to.
Well, you tell me, Julie. I mean, there's that sense of rejection that you feel as an adoptee, right?
Yeah.
That you've talked about from being given up at birth. What must that be like to find out you were given up 9 months later?
Well, she already knew.
I know, but I can't imagine that feeling.
I wish she'd told me that. I think I would have approached this whole search in a different way.
Really?
Yes. I'm not sure why I didn't know that. But yeah, she has issues. I can't blame her.
Well, oh, sure.
Yeah, we all have. I mean, I knew I was adopted, and I did not consciously have a sense of rejection. In hindsight, I see that I did.
Right.
But, it wasn't as a kid. I don't remember saying, oh my God, nobody wanted me.
Right. Look, I wasn't adopted, and I have a sense of rejection,
Sure.
too.
Yeah. And of course, we decided to go into show business, which is brilliant.
We never get rejected.
No, never.
We're always perfect for every role.
Yep. Yeah, it's called second rejection.
Yeah.
And I find, and this comes down to why this job is both perfect and difficult for me.
Yes.
Because I've been there. And when I talk to a biological mother and she says, nope, not me, and hangs up, and I know for a fact that it's her, that's tough. That's tough for me to take because, we call it second rejection. And I think that may be even tougher than the original because you're a human. And yes, you can intellectualize it and say, well, this was a source of shame. We've talked about this many times before. But as that individual, you have to, it's tough to not feel rejected.
I understand, and that's why I think you are the perfect person for this job.
Yeah, but I take it so personally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe you could work a little more on your boundaries,
Yes.
And that's not just, maybe that's just all in overall, we can all work on our boundaries
We can
a
all
little
work
better.
on our boundaries.
To not take things personally. But I think that the sense of compassion and empathy that you've always had in you.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean in terms of toward other people who have been adopted, just toward the world at large.
I'm definitely an empath. I will not deny that.
Yes, you always
I take
have
on
been.
everybody's,
But you
to a fault.
Right. But that's why I think this is a good job for you because of that empathy. I would hate to see somebody doing it who didn't have that.
And that's interesting because that's the first thing I tell people when I get a new case, because I don't hire people, they are just sent to me. And the first thing I tell them is, well, just so you know, you're in good hands. I take this very seriously, and I'm myself an adoptee. I know, I've been doing this for a while, and I've been there. And it gives them a sense of security, I think, just knowing that they're in they're in the hands of somebody
who would understand what they're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's
there.
very important.
Oh, sure.
Because I have seen people that do this kind of thing that have not, and not to say that their approach is bad, certainly.
Right.
But I think there's this extra layer of something when you've been there. and
Sure. Haven't you been to like, I don't know, an emergency room and the person who takes the input is just like this cold fish and you're like, but so I'm so sick.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I get like,
I guess they put a wall
oh,
up,
I get
too.
why they have to.
Yeah.
But you also sort of hope you're looking for that little bit of bedside manner in a way, in
Mm-hmm.
that compassion of like, oh, well, we're going to help you out.
Why do you think it's so hard to find good bedside manner with skilled people?
I don't know. Maybe because they do have to put up such a wall. I can't imagine. I have a good friend who was an ER nurse and intensive care nurse, and what they have to see and go through every day as they save lives.
Yeah.
But they also lose patients, and it's you really have to put up some kind of boundary there so that it doesn't break you.
Yeah,
each
you'd have to be
time.
able to separate. I think that about lawyers a lot too.
Yeah,
'Cause they have to do some terrible things.
Or you
sometimes.
imagine if, like you just mentioned calling up a birth mother who is rejecting the birth child,
Yep.
and you're feeling it. But imagine if you fell apart. Like each time that happened, like literally, like on the phone, fell apart.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I have to accept it and then go on and move. Of course, I ended up sending a whole letter and something and stuff to that person.
Here's an example, a personal example that has nothing to do with DNA.
All right.
But the other night, I was playing piano at a gig, and I found out from a girl who was sitting at the bar that the gentleman that she was sitting next to had just lost his wife of, oh my gosh, I want to say 40-something years. And he was an older guy, and I felt so bad for the guy. And then this other couple came over to me and they said, oh, it's our such our anniversary, and would you play this song? And they just, as I was playing this song, they started dancing together, and they were dancing right by this guy who I'd found out that had just lost his wife, and I
sometimes information is
I know,
better not to have.
and I wanted to cry, and I thought, no, don't go there. People come to this place for a good time. They come, this gentleman who lost his wife came to be around people and to have a cocktail and to hear music, and he's getting that. And this other couple has come here, and I have to be there for them, for all of them.
Yeah.
But I could have easily gone over that path, and I almost wanted to tell them, don't dance over there, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was even thinking maybe I should only play like really up-tempo songs while this gentleman is here, because I don't want to add to his grief.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Even I could have played an up-tempo song, and that might have been their song. It could have been terrible. So you just don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
You just never know. Wow.
So the
I'm so
word
depressed right now.
the active word of the day is boundary.
And empathy.
And empathy. We need a lot more empathy.
We sure do.
With boundaries
Yes.
in this world.
Oh my gosh. Empathy and boundaries.
Right? They go hand in hand. And with that, I think we're going to go have some empathy boundary cocktails on our break.
And cry.
And cry. If you're enjoying Cutoff Jeans, please subscribe, rate, and review. Now, back to Julie and me. All right, we're back, and I've blown my nose and cried my eyes out, and we're all set. Are you?
You look all fuzzy.
I know. It makes my eyes look even more green.
Your eyes look blue to me.
Do they? It depends on what I'm
My
wearing.
eyes are green. What color? Yeah, you're wearing blue, so.
Yeah. When I'm
What
wearing
color do my eyes look to you right now?
Well,
Can
know
you see
what?
them through my glasses?
No.
Through my Coke bottle glasses?
Oh, they look like bluish green, like aquamarine.
Ooh.
I think that was
Would that were true.
I think that was a color in like my Crayola box, like what? Not the.
It's also
13.
the name of a movie, and I believe it's about a mermaid.
No, but if I'm wearing a blue shirt, people think I have blue eyes, but they're actually green. So when I'm wearing a green shirt,
They look so.
They are very
I thought it was the other
green.
way around. I thought because your shirt was blue and your eyes were green, the green would pop more. Like because with my green eyes, if I wear purple around my eyes, they really pop.
Really?
As green.
I guess
Because it's contrast.
I don't know why, but because they're not like you would never think my eyes were like sky blue. Like I have a friend who's got really blue eyes. They're
Can't
like,
stop looking at them.
oh well, thank you. I'm just going to start batting my eyes. As Julie becomes hypnotized,
Hypnotized.
let's talk about
Oh, let's talk about from the Department of Captain Obvious.
Oh, I love that. I love that department. I go to that department every day.
Yeah, me too. I found this interesting article. Study reveals the more you hug your kids, the more their brains develop.
Oh, well.
Yeah. That's kind of a no blank Sherlock. Yeah. Okay, so it said the more you hug a baby, the more their brains grow, according to a recent study from the Nationwide Children's Hospital in Ohio. They did the study with 125 babies, both premature and full term, which were included in the study, which looked at how well they responded to being physically touched. Now, did they reject some of those babies? I'm trying to think how this would have worked.
Yeah.
The results indicated that premature babies responded to affection less than babies who were not born premature. So what it's saying is that because they were premature, they were probably in incubators, and so they didn't get as much human touch.
Oh, interesting.
What was also revealed, however, was that the babies that were subjected to more affection by parents or hospital staff showed stronger brain response.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. According to the researcher, Dr. Natalie Matra, this last revelation tells us that something as simple as body contact or rocking a baby in your arms, I'm getting anxiety thinking about this, will make a big difference in how their brains developed.
Wow. Well, I remember when we first got Buddy here, my dog, and I read up on it because it said, that when you look into a dog's eyes, that there's something released in them that gives them that comfort, that there's like actually some kind of chemical released in their brain, that and petting them and touching them. Because when we got Buddy, he didn't want to be touched. He was like damaged, and he did not want, even now he's a little standoffish, but he's much more open to it. But I remember just sitting there and staring at him and like not in a way that you.
Did he look back at you?
Yeah, he would look away, but
right.
But
I was going to say because both my dogs refuse to make eye contact if you're close to their face.
I think when you stare at a dog, it can be interpreted by the dog as a challenge,
as aggressive.
As aggressive. Mm-hmm. But I think there's also a way. Dogs are really good at reading humans' expressions. That they have to get by reading your body language and your smile and your face. Aww. And so I did a lot of that, like intentionally. And I remember thinking at the time, this is sort of like having a baby, and you have to have that connection, right? I mean, I've never had a baby, but I know
I'm telling you,
many people who have. And
I've talked about this before, but I'm haunted by the fact that when I had my daughter, I was probably to a fault. So I needed to be touching her at all times, and I felt like she needed me at all times. Mm-hmm. It was a very instantaneous, definite, bond. The sound of my voice, my touch, my smell calmed her immediately. Yep. And then I go back to me spending that first 2 months in the baby's home.
Sure.
And, God, it haunts me.
Yeah.
It makes me, and it explains so much about so many things about me. Like I have an issue with intimacy in that it's very difficult for me to let people in beyond surface. Mm-hmm. And also, if it's hot, especially like my kids are hanging on me now as adults, I love it, but only to a certain extent. Yeah. I have to push it away.
Right.
It's because it's suffocating. I get anxiety.
Right.
It's almost too much. And I also, one of my most powerful memories I have as a child, and I was probably a toddler, was... I've spoken before that my parents were not necessarily physically affectionate. They were just different. We were genetically different people. But the happiest times I had were Sunday mornings. When my parents would sleep in, and I would get up on my parents' bed and I would lay on top of my mother along the whole length of her body. I would lay, and she would let me do it. And it was one of the few times that she would let me do it. And it was the most satisfying feeling to me.
Comforting.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt safe.
Yes. Yeah. It was like...
Oh, I mean, I'm a big believer in the power of human touch,
absolutely.
I remember driving home I was driving my mom. I took her to see The Producers, the musical, like shortly before she died. And I didn't know she was going to die, but I remember I was driving her home, and she was in the passenger seat next to me, and she like touched my hand. And I remember the feeling of her hand on my hand, and she said, "I'll remember this for the rest of my life." Of course, she died a month later, so she didn't have to remember it for too
she
long.
didn't forget.
But I have never forgotten that
moment.
touch.
Yes.
You know, and I can picture
my
her
gosh.
hands. She had beautiful hands. She was a pianist too.
Yeah.
And I can picture them. And sometimes when I'm driving and my hand is just like by my side, my right hand is by my side, I look over at my hand and I can picture and almost feel.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, isn't that weird? But again, this is
No.
my mom has been gone for almost 16 years, but I still feel that.
Yeah.
You know, going back to the power of touch and the human touch, and especially touch of somebody,
That you love.
Yeah, I mean, I've been
Yeah.
on subway cars and been touched by,
we
like
don't
too
like
many
that.
people. That's not good.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about touch, the loving touch, a caring touch. So yes.
That reminds me of when my father, shortly before he died, he was very ill. The last few months he had a stroke, and he was in and out of different hospitals and what have you. And I was doing a lot of the footwork, the running around, and I was the one responsible to take care of him. And at one point, he'd been taken to the hospital from the nursing home, and I was on vacation and I had to leave where I was and to go to the hospital, and was sitting with him, and I was telling him what was going on and what we were doing and blah, blah, blah. And my dad, as was his personality, he wasn't very affectionate and did not speak his mind or did not give compliments out easily. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And we had, all of a sudden, I was just talking about what was happening, and all of a sudden, his hand went up from, his side, and he put it on my hand and made eye contact with me.
Yep.
And said, "Thank you."
Yep.
And he's never done that before.
Right.
And had never done, and it was, it gave me chills.
Right.
And it was such a moment, such a rare moment for us as well.
Yes.
But it meant so much to me.
Right. And to the fact that you're still thinking of it today, even,
Yeah. Well, as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, that reminds me of that day.
I bet a lot of people have similar stories,
Sure.
in that just a certain moment that stays. I mean, it's not like that was the first time my mother ever touched my hand or I ever touched my mother's
Right,
hand, but
right,
I
right.
remember that specific instance because of what history has made of it.
Yes. And it was also, for me, it was validating that I was doing the right thing.
Right,
And
right.
that this is what he needed.
Right.
Yeah. He also, Dad, we talked about it throughout my life that he was not affectionate. It was very difficult for him to show affection. But because to counteract that, it was very hard for him to verbalize feelings.
Yes.
But every time I would see him, he would give me bone-crushing hugs. Bone-crushing.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly what he was doing.
Right.
He's like, I need for her to know, and this is the only way.
Right.
It's, geez.
Well, it makes me want to go out and hug every baby and make sure they get, although, it would probably be frowned upon if I went up to strangers and said, "Can I hug your baby?"
May I hug your baby?
Or say, "Have you hugged your baby?" Because it's very important.
They they have volunteers in nurseries, hospital nurseries that come in just specifically to hold babies.
I love that idea.
Yeah. All right.
Shall we take a break?
Let's.
Thank you for listening to CutOff Jeans with Julie Dixon Jackson and Richard Castle. That's me.
Okay. Story time.
Great. Oh, this is going to be part two of the Lisa Gordon?
Our Canadian friend.
Yes.
Yep. So this we heard the first part of the story last week. Can't frankly remember where exactly we left off, but if you guys have a problem, go back and listen to the end of it. How about that? So this is part two, and we will see you guys on the other side.
That's how I came to be it.
Well, okay.
So now they know nothing about this family. So there was an aunt that I had been searching for months, and I was trying to get in touch with her. Some people told me she was deceased. Some told me that she was alive.
Your father's sister.
Yes.
Okay.
So I searched and searched. Well, the same day that I actually have my first contact with my brothers on the telephone, I get a call from a woman in Quebec, in Canada, and she's on vacation from British Columbia in Quebec, and she's one of the people I had left a message with on Messenger, and she said, "Oh, well, here's Lorna's number, dear. You just give her a call and tell her I'll be home in 3 weeks." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Isn't that funny?
Yeah,
It's like it's like pulling teeth, and then all of a sudden somebody's just like, "Oh yeah, here you go."
Well, 20 other people have basically told me to F off.
Yeah,
And, what are you doing? You can't just ask people for people's phone numbers.
It's
and
a
this
numbers game.
And one person
yeah.
just finally says to me, "Oh, okay, here."
How refreshing. Okay.
So I phoned the number.
Uh-huh.
And the lady's name is Lorna. And I phoned her. And she said, "Have you found my brother?" And I said, "I think I'm your brother's daughter." And she's like, "Oh my God, what happened to my brother? Where's my brother?" The last day she had spoken to him was May 6, 1956. She said that right off the top of her head.
Okay, I have chills right now.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
So she didn't know about his family, about his wife and kids?
Nothing.
Oh
no,
my gosh.
He left because he was wanted for charges of accessory to armed robbery.
Oh, wow.
So he left the province of BC and came across to Ontario and made a new life with a new name.
Wow.
And never told his family, except he was drunk once and he did say the name. He said he was in the Korean War. This is to my brothers. And that he used his cousin's name, Alvin Rankin. Well, he was Alvin Rankin.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get a sociopath drunk. That's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Note to self. Okay.
Yeah, that's how to get information. So we connected all the dots, and she's done DNA, and yes, she is in fact our father's sister. And we went, the three of us, not even knowing each other. On August 15th, we got on a plane together in Toronto. 3 strangers on a plane, fly to British Columbia, get in a car, drive 3 hours to her home, and stayed with her new family for 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was awesome. They were great people. We met an uncle that we didn't know about, my dad's brother. We met our aunt. We met some cousins. And it was when we got out the car to meet them, she said, "Welcome home." And I got chills, and I have never felt like I belonged somewhere more in my life than the moment she said that.
That's amazing. So is your father still living?
No,
Okay.
no, he passed
That
in
explains it.
1988. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
I doubt we would have been able to do any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would have put the kibosh on that.
So it still is. Debbie, who has been with me, my cousin, all of this time, she couldn't make it to Lorna's house when we were there. And so that's how we just met up yesterday for the first time. And that was a great meeting too. And it's like we've known each other our whole lives. It's just for all of us, not just for me. They needed to close something in their lives. Mm-hmm. And they found, the answers they were looking for. I got all of my answers. And
sometimes it's all you need.
I believe this whole thing has been for Lorna, who's in her 80s, to get the closure that she needed to know what happened to her brother after all these years.
So tell me that situation. When did he just up and disappear one day? What did the family think?
Well, there'd been some issues. He, I guess, was a prankster and always in trouble. And he went to jail. We're not quite sure for what. She didn't know because she's 10 years younger than him.
Okay.
So he went to jail in Alberta, came home from jail, and after a week, our grandfather kicked him out because he was being a bad influence on the younger children. Mm-hmm. So he went and got an apartment somewhere near them in BC, and then he took off. And the next thing she knew, he called her from Bowden, Alberta, and it was a week before she was getting married. That's why she remembers the date so well. Uh-huh. And he called her princess, which he'd never done in his life. And he told her, if I can't be there, in person, I will be there in spirit. She thought that he was saying goodbye, like he was killing himself.
Yeah.
But no, he went on and built a new life and never
That was the
came
last
back.
she ever heard from him.
Yep. And she knew the
Insane.
date on a call that I made out of, just out of the air. She had no way to, prepare for it. And she said, no, it was May 6, 1956.
Oh, wow.
She said, I have worried about that man for all this time.
Oh.
So now she's happy. She's got 2 nephews and a niece. Well, now since then, okay, the story with me goes that our father built bridges for a living, and that took him traveling throughout Canada. Now, just before we went out west, I opened my DNA again one morning, and oh, geez, I've got a nephew. Well, it's not one of my brother's children. It's like a whole new person.
Okay.
So there's a sister.
Oh, my God.
Another one. And she was born 21 days after my second brother. And there's a bridge in her honor also.
A bridge in her honor?
Well, there's a bridge here that was built, during my conception, and she has a bridge during her conception also that he would have been building, right?
So he had bridge babies. He would
Bridge
celebrate.
babies.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're laughing because it's come down to, the 2 brothers look at each other, and the older one says to the younger one, brother, how many bridges did Dad build? And he goes, oh, I don't know, about 23, I think.
Oh, my gosh.
And I just laughed and went, oh, no. So there could possibly be more of us. Now, the newest sister does not know yet. Apparently, she's a very closed person. She's a little ticked her son has taken DNA. So he's actually in the Canadian Forces and is being restationed near us shortly in another 2 or 3 weeks. And we're going to meet with him as soon as he gets here. But they live in Manitoba, yet another province.
So she knows he took DNA, but she doesn't know that.
She told him she doesn't want to know. She did not know who her father was. So.
Is she adopted or was just raised?
She raised by the mother.
Okay.
Yes, raised without a
Didn't
father. And then
know. Interesting.
doesn't want to know. Yeah. So that's okay.
Yeah, it is. And
I'll
it
respect
happens.
that.
I don't get it. I respect it, but that's not.
That would
me.
kill me. I'd want to know.
Me too, no matter
well,
what.
she doesn't know he's found us like siblings.
Yeah.
All she knows is he's done it. So he said he's going to keep giving her little pieces at a time.
Yeah, just feed it to her.
Yeah, and see what happens. So far she hasn't, asked anything. So he's not giving too much, but.
That is so hard for those of us that don't have patience, isn't it?
I don't know.
Come on.
This has been the biggest test of my patience, I think, that I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And I'm getting better. Obviously, I have to, but man, it messes with me. I just want to rip that Band-Aid off all the time.
Me. And I'm so used to just, okay, I want to do this and I will do that.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that with this.
I know.
So, it's been like nail biting and, oh, geez, what am I going to do?
David mentioned there was an Australian component in all this.
Yes.
Tell me.
When we get out west, I've got all the family there. So, of course, we're asking for pictures and information and questions. Apparently, our father had a son with his first wife that we did not know about. Before any of us. So he would have been born in 1948, January, we believe, of 48, in Manitoba. He has a mother named Viola Davies. We have not been able to find anything about her. None of the family has heard from him or seen anything of him since he was about 16 or 17, at which time he had stopped in at what would be our step-grandmother's home, and told her he was going to Australia. And that's the last anyone's ever heard or seen of him.
Oh, interesting.
And that was in the early 1970s.
Okay.
This being on David, he was working with someone who has found someone by the same name. And his name's Colin Rankin. I will put that out there. And And they sent a registered letter with Lorna wrote a letter, actually our aunt, and with her contact information and my Facebook information and a bit of the story. And it has been received, and it's been a week and there's been no response. So I'm not sure what to take from that, whether it be, he is him and he doesn't want to be involved, or it's not him and the guy just said, oh, crazy people in Canada.
Yeah, I always wonder. I send letters to people all the time, and to send a letter, a restricted mail, meaning the only person that can sign for it is the person that it's addressed to, it costs like $30. I don't know what it costs there or in Australia, but that's quite an expense. And then you can send it registered, but anyone can sign for it. Or even what is it? Proof of delivery or something like that.
Yes,
where it went into the mailbox, but we don't know if somebody intercepted it, and so you don't know who got it.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting. I think it was received last Thursday, so it's a week.
David has probably looked at the electoral rolls in Australia, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure he has. I'm like, my mind is turning, but I'm like, no, David knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah.
He's been like my everything for this, like my go-to.
He's your DNA sensei.
Yes.
Yes. Very cool.
And the patience on that man is unbelievable,
Yeah, he's found a niche like me where he's like, oh, I'm good at this. Let's start helping people. That's fantastic.
Is he ever he took me from, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing to,
Well, I will say that he was very complimentary to you to how quickly you picked it up as well. So he basically said that you've solved this on your own. So there you go.
Oh, I think he's being too generous on that, but
well, you know what? It took one person to help me. Rose in Melbourne, Australia, that helped me with my case. And just with that one case, what she told me to do was what opened the whole thing up for me, that I was able to do it for everybody else. So it's something that, keeps on giving. And some of us, it just clicks.
Yes.
How it works.
Well, I enjoy it. And I'm actually helping other people now also. It's been quite a ride, and I can't believe how much I've learned. From January to now, it's like, oh. Yeah,
you kind of feel like a different person, don't you? Like you have this whole new knowledge base. I feel like I know so much more about geography, even.
Oh yeah, subject I was never good at. I'm suddenly finding myself. I know where that is.
Well, isn't that interesting? I didn't geography was okay when I was a kid, but I was never into history, and I've concluded that it's because I couldn't relate to anything.
See, that's funny. History was my major.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I would take any form of history and still do, enjoy.
I love history now, but I think as a kid, because I couldn't place myself anywhere because I didn't know anything about my background,
I
just kind of didn't have any interest. I was like, well, I felt like an alien. I've said that a lot.
I felt like I was always searching,
Yeah.
But something wasn't there, and it became a little more when I had my own children.
Yeah, me too.
My daughter was my first, and I remember holding her and looking at her saying, she's the first person I know that's related to me.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then it starts to build a bit, and then the second one was born, and then, the third. Then I was too busy. And then I couldn't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. And then I became a nana, and then the drive really hit. It's okay. No, I'm going to figure this out. It's, I owe it to my family and to myself. And I'm glad I've done it, because I never set out for an intention of having a relationship. I just wanted to know who they were, peek around in their Facebook, see a little bit about them, maybe talk to one or two people and get some history.
Yeah, it's as simple as that, isn't it? It's
I know.
just you don't
I've got
need
this wonderful family that,
which is a bonus, but it's not what we're looking for most of
no,
us. Yeah.
it wasn't. Not for me. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with what I had, but now I'm not. Now I've opened the door and let them in.
Very cool. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for telling your story today. Wow, that's a good one.
Oh, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it, and I love your work.
Thank you. Keep me updated, or keep us updated if you hear from the
Australian fraction.
Yes,
Yes, I will.
Very curious how that all turns out, and I'm really happy for you that you have such a welcoming family. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been wonderful, and it's a positive experience. So
it is.
I'm very lucky.
Yes,
very,
you
very
are.
lucky.
It doesn't always happen that way. We've seen every scenario, and every story is different, which blows my mind.
Unfortunately, but I'm very, very, very blessed. So,
yay!
I have a wonderful new family. So,
yay! I'm happy.
We're all happy.
We're all happy. That's great. All right. Thank you so much. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And for everybody who shares their stories with us, we really appreciate it. And I'm sure everybody else who's listening can appreciate it as well.
I'm telling you, there is not a boring one.
No.
And everyone is different.
Everyone is different. And yet universal in what they're talking about, right?
Yep, it's amazing.
Like the details are different, but the overall feeling of it is, you can all relate to it. I love that.
Yeah. Reach out, guys. Even if you don't think your story is that interesting, I'll tell you if it's not.
Or she'll just listen. She'll record it and then she just won't put it on.
I'll say I lost it.
But in the meanwhile, you can follow me on the Twitter at Castle Songs, or you can go to my website and find out about my music at richardcastle.com.
You can find me on the Twitter at Jules Jackson with 2 O's. Find the podcast on Twitter at CutOff Jeans Pod. Join the Facebook page, CutOff Jeans Podcast. Answer the question, come on in, the water is fine. Send me an email, julejackson@cutoffjeans.com. Also, if you would like to review the podcast, I'm not telling you how to review it, but a review would be nice. Let me know. And if you pay shipping, I will send you a friend.
And by friend, she means something she made, not like a real person.
No, I'm going to send people through the mail. Let's talk about sending people through the mail in the next episode.
Let's do that.
All right, good. Hey, guys, always remember, the truth is in your jeans.